Hello, everyone. So today, sorry, I got these new glasses and the glare. I'm like, should I have gotten like an anti-glare film? I don't know. Anyway, today I wanted to talk about the art of detachment, detaching, as someone who could fall into an extremely codependent uh, lifestyle or flow. And it's something that I am learning to move through. And I feel like a lot of people relate to this. And a lot of it is from a state of loneliness and change and hard change and feeling like it's a feeling like you need somebody there to kind of calm the anxiety and the thoughts of anything that you're doing, whether it's trying something new, grabbing a cup of coffee, going to the store, even just needing to be on the phone with someone. It's something that I am navigating, freshly out of a relationship. Not freshly, it's been like a month, but these are changes I'm noticing in myself. And I think I am someone that does not like to be alone. I struggle very badly with loneliness. Rosalia said that it's her lesson in life to be lonely. And I feel like I really relate to that a lot because I think I've learned a lot in my life and I have gone through things that I think have isolated me, and I have never really, I guess, moved through them in the healthiest way because I'm always looking for some sort of outlet in other people and I'm not looking for it in myself. And I think a lot of us do that quite often, where we look to others to take that pain away, or not even the pain, just that moment of where you have to be by yourself and you have to do things on your own. We often are constantly looking to lean on other people. And I just want to share some things that I'm going through, and hopefully it inspires you to also show up for yourself in ways that maybe you're not showing up for yourself currently. Sometimes you don't even realize that you're in a loop of codependency or a loop of avoidance when you're just living it every single day. You have to take a step back and look in the mirror and realize, what am I doing? Is this really healthy, my pattern right now? And the routines that I have, what is it? We could fall so codependent in so many things. And for me, I don't like to be alone. I don't like doing things alone, but it's something that I have to do right now. You have to learn how to be your own best friend and be the one that shows up for you the most, because no one is going to be able to show up for you in the way you show up for yourself. That doesn't mean people aren't not going to show up for you. It just means they're not going to be able to show up for the ways that we have to show up for ourselves. It's very, very important that we understand ourselves and understand the good and the bad, the pros and the cons about ourselves, our personalities, our tendencies, anything like that, in order to face our realities that we paint every single day, for better or for worse. I right now am really learning how to face myself and sit with the thoughts and my choices and everything and what I really want out of life. And sometimes it's extremely hard because I've always been in a relationship, and this is the first time I've been alone in a long time. So how do I learn how to love myself on my own? How do I undo these codependent things? A lot of times, if the person I was in a relationship with didn't want to do something, didn't want to go to the grocery store with me, didn't want to go to a movie, didn't want to do any of this, I would stay back. I wouldn't go because they wouldn't go with me. And then, even if I asked my friends and they couldn't go, I wouldn't go. And that's doing a really big disservice to yourself because that's what you want to do. Why shouldn't you do what you want to do? And it doesn't mean that there's negative feelings in that with your partner or with your friends. It's just you are no longer showing up for yourself by beating to somebody else's drum. And it sounds so cliche, but it's true. Sorry, our lips are chapped. Leaving that in. I think a lot of times, especially when you're in relationships for so long, you do become dependent on that person showing up. the phone ringing, that text coming through. And where I'm at right now is this new level of loneliness where I feel, the calls don't come, the texts don't come. That's okay. We're no longer together. But because there's this person who's no longer here, they're alive, thank God, but they're no longer with me. 80% of my time that was, like, I guess, allotted for them is now free. So it is a weird thing to try and fill with friends, because I had the other percentage that I would fill with my friends. And there's this other part of it that feels like I feel like I'm doing too much by hitting up the same people all the time. I feel like a burden. I feel annoying. I'm like, these people don't want to hear from me, because now I'm trying to fill this time where I depended on someone with everybody else that I can. It's not a bad thing, but you have to learn how to be on your own, and you have to learn how to show up for yourself. Because again, no one's going to show up for you the way you can show up for yourself. And it doesn't mean if you're, trying to fill this other percentage of time and other people can't show up for you during that time, that's not personal. It doesn't mean that they don't care or they don't love you. It means they have their own lives and they have their own shit going on. I've had many conversations like this with my friends recently, because it's something I am really struggling with. And it's something that is extremely new to me. And I think in a day and age where we have social media and so much is in our faces, and we could get very jealous and we could compare our lives to others, you have to learn that the only person you should be ever comparing yourself to is yourself. And how can I get better from where I was yesterday? How can I start getting excited about tomorrow with myself? I want to look at tomorrow and I want to be excited for it because of me. I don't want to be excited for it because of somebody else. It's okay to be excited for tomorrow because you're looking forward to something with your friends, and, or, you're excited to go on a date, or you can be excited for people and be excited to be with people and be excited to see a certain someone or a certain friend, or that's all valid. And that can exist at the same time as you needing to be excited for tomorrow on your own, because you have to get to that good place on your own. No one can hold your hand and walk you through life like you can. No one knows yourself better than you can. And I think there are little things that we can do to just fill that space, and like this morning, I woke up and I said, okay, how can I show up for myself today without needing anybody? This is going to sound weird, but I told myself I'm not texting anybody today. I'm not going to hit up any of my friends today. And one of my friends yesterday told me, he was like, you should try being alone tomorrow. And I was like, you know what? I'm gonna try really hard. And normally, I'd wake up and check my phone. And I feel like when you're in a relationship for so long, you look at, and you get out of it, you look at your text threads and you're like, damn, I don't really have a lot of people who I immediately go to. Because you put your relationship first. And sometimes it's really hard to have that healthy balance of friendships and to be with someone in a relationship. And I will get sad. I'll check my phone and be like, oh, I really have no one to text right now, or I don't have a lot of people, or maybe I don't want to bug the same people or bother them. But you do have to push through that and realize that you have to get uncomfortable to get comfortable. And so my friend told me yesterday, he was like, why don't you try tomorrow being alone? Just try it. And I'm making it a really strong point to not text anybody, to not hit anybody up. I mean, if they text me, then I obviously will respond, but I'm not gonna, today I just can't go out of my way. I can't do it. So I've made it a point to be my friend today. I woke up early. I went and got coffee. I came back. I did some cleaning. I cleaned out some junk drawers in my room, listened to some music, listened to some like YouTube podcasts, and then I went to the gym. And then I came back and I showered and got ready, and then I'm gonna go shopping a little bit by myself. And it's a really scary thought. I'm not gonna lie. It gives me a little bit of anxiety to go shopping by myself. I don't know why. I think it's just because I'm used to having somebody there who is willing to go do that, and you fall into that really comfortable place of having someone show up for you, whether it's your friends or, a romantic partner. But what are these things that we could be doing to move through this? It's showing up for ourselves in little ways, like I did today. I went and got a coffee by myself, and it was with intention. And I made sure that I didn't want to be sad. You know, you create your reality. I didn't want to be sad today. And it's also important to understand, like, your emotions are your emotions, and they're valid. So you're allowed to feel, and it's very important to sit with how you're feeling. But there is a certain point where you do have to choose how you want to feel. Um, if you feel like being sad and you have to be sad, allow yourself to feel it, because the only way out is through, as corny as it sounds. But if you feel like you have the strength to be like, no, not right now. I'm gonna have a good moment right now, and I'm gonna push through this, and and I could come back to this feeling maybe a little later, or maybe this feeling is not that important as me feeling good right now. And it's all about learning yourself and unlearning your own toxic behaviors and trying to do this tango with yourself. You know, because you do a tango when you're in a relationship, you do a tango with this other person and their emotions and their feelings, and for better and for worse. It could be the most healthiest, it could be the worst, it could be whatever it is. But it's something that you do when you're in a relationship, because you now have this other responsibility to show up for somebody in such a mutual, loving way. But now what you have is to show up for yourself. And I think when we put too much pressure on ourselves to show up for others, we really truly forget how to show up for ourselves. And it's a lot of unlearning and relearning and rewiring our brains to, like, get back to square one. It's a very rocky road, and it's a lot of ups and downs, and you need to understand that every emotion you feel will be valid, and you need to sit with it in order to move through it. And it's crazy because it's like, these are all things that I know, and these are all things that I've said online before, and I've said to my friends. And then it's also, sometimes you forget it, and that's okay. You know, you can sit with these feelings, or these doubts. Let's say, let's say you're sitting on the negative side of it, and you really are struggling to see the light at the end of the tunnel, or the hope, and you just don't even know how to pick yourself up off the floor. But there is a section of you that does. But when you're in those negative feelings, it's okay to hear it from somebody else. And, yesterday, two of my friends really pulled through for me. I just had these conversations with them, and my horoscope, astrology sign says that my motto is, I know. And the whole time they're both telling me these things, I'm just saying, I know, I know, I know. And it's not to shut them down. It's just like, it's almost like I hear you and I appreciate you and I agree. I agree so much. And when I'm really good and I'm doing really well, and I think everybody feels like this, when we're all doing really well, we understand those top tier mental priorities and ways to show up for ourselves, and ways that we can have a healthy thought process and everything like that. But when we're low, you also need to know that it's okay to lean on others for support, just to hear a different perspective, just to hear somebody else's side of it, and just to gain new perspective. Like, that's just what it is. And I'm really grateful that I have these people in my life that I'm able to lean on, but they also remind me that I do have to go through majority of this alone. Excuse me, a hiccup. They do remind me that I have to go through a majority of this alone. And it's a really scary thing to feel, because nobody wants to be alone. But at the end of the day, you are. No one knows what's going on in your head. So why don't we just grab the mop and clean it up a little bit in there, and take care of ourselves in whatever capacity that may be. And I think learning to love yourself in a new way is going to be the greatest strength that any of us can obtain. Trying new things, I posted a video about routine, and I think it's so important to touch back on that a little bit, but shaking up your routine in a way that's solo. So, in that video, I had touched on, shaking up your routine by maybe talking to new friends or trying new things or hitting up different people, this and that. But right now, the routine I want to focus on is shaking it up solo. What could I be doing by myself that will be healthy for me right now? I love going to the movies. That's like one of my favorite pastimes. And I've gone alone many times, and it's hard to, and it sounds silly to say that it's hard, but it's hard to get myself to go. I feel a little embarrassed walking in by myself, and not everybody feels like that. And there's nothing wrong with going to the movies by yourself. I think it's fun. Um, but it's one of those things that I'm like, well, this is something right now I'm gonna do. Maybe not today, but maybe this week. I'm gonna go to the movies by myself because it's going to be really healthy for me. Those things that scare you a little bit to do by yourself are the healthiest things you can push yourself through. And you need to remember that, because you have to detach from everything in order to truly understand yourself. It doesn't mean cut people off. Don't be cutting people off. And don't distance yourself or build unnecessary walls. But you need to almost find that time where you're alone and be with yourself and understand, what is it that I want in this moment? You know what I mean? What is it that I want in this moment? I really want to buy a pair of Converse today. I really do. And I've been dancing with it. Oh, should I save money? I don't know. I really want these Converse. And then I'm like, sometimes it's just nice to have the friend to go with, because then they can encourage you a little more. And then you also just don't feel as guilty about making the purchase. But today I'm like, I'm by myself. I'm not hitting anybody up. I don't have anybody to go buy these with. It's something I really want to do. So in the same way going to the movies alone gives me anxiety, going to buy these shoes is going to give me anxiety, but I have to do it. And I want to do it. You have to want to do it. And there are going to be a lot of moments where you don't want to do it. There are so many moments where I do not want to be alone. Majority of the time, I don't want to do anything alone. Excuse me. But you have to. You could lose everything in life. You could lose your friends. You could lose your family. You could lose your house. The only thing that no one can take away from you is you up here. Your knowledge, your experiences, the lessons you learn, that voice in the back of your head, everything. Your soul is yours to keep. And so you have to nourish it, and you have to water it in order to grow. People may come and go throughout your life that water it with you and help you grow in different ways. Maybe a new little branch, maybe a new little leaf over here. But when they're gone, you can't fall over. You have to keep going. You have to keep growing, because it's not like they came and took away the watering can and now you're like, I don't know what to do. It may feel like that. Maybe you just have to find the watering can again. But it's there. It's somewhere in you. And you got to find out what it is in order to show up for yourself. Because once you start feeding your soul, you are going to blossom. You are going to bloom. It is so, so important. It's a way to be selfish, and not in a negative way. Just maybe me first this time. Maybe I'll water myself this time. Maybe I'll bedazzle my watering can. You know what I mean? Having good priorities for yourself and what you want in your day-to-day is going to help you find that peace. You can't search for peace in everybody else. You have to search for it in what you like and what you enjoy in yourself, and reconnecting with yourself in ways you maybe have pushed aside, not necessarily for other people. You've just pushed aside because there was comfort in other people, if that makes sense. The other part of being so codependent on someone is that need for validation and approval, and constantly seeking it through these little ways that we seek it. Is there a tornado happening outside? What is going on? People showing up for us when you're in that codependent relationship, just them showing up for us is validation. But we search for it in so many other ways because for some reason we struggle to give ourselves that own approval, whether it's searching for compliments, and not in a way to boost ego or to boost confidence, but it's that validation of like, okay, I'm doing something right. This is okay. This is the right thing to do. This is the right thing to wear. My glasses, like I love my glasses and I just got them. And I can't tell you how many people I've asked if they've liked them or not. And why am I seeking that? Why am I seeking other people's approval on my glasses? I love them. I love them. I don't need that. I don't need your opinion. If it comes upon me, great. Whatever you feel, great. I've had a lot of people tell me they really like them. I've had people just kind of not really give me anything, which is fine. And I've had people tell me straight up that they don't like them. It's only been 2 days, you know? And it's a weird thing to navigate because you're sitting here thinking, oh, did I do this wrong? Oh no, I didn't get the approval for this. Or I feel kind of like, oh, maybe this was the wrong choice. It was the right choice. I liked them. I put them on. I got excited when I tried them on in the doctor's office. So why does anybody else matter? Why does anybody else matter? Hello? Your friends, your true friends and your true family will tell you when you look a little crazy. And they'll tell you when you need to maybe reel it in a little bit or anything like that. You know what I mean? So like your friends and your family, you have to trust them. But like seeking it from so many other people, so many other outlets of validation is the most unhealthy thing you could do because it needs to come from yourself. Of course, you can go to your friends and family for opinions on things, but at the end of the day, you still have to choose you. You still have to choose you. What do you like? We have to give ourselves the approval in the healthiest way possible. Whether it's what we eat, it's what we wear, what we do in our spare time, as long as it's healthy and appropriate, obviously. But you'll never find that peace and you'll never find that fulfillment when you are consistently seeking validation and approval from other people. Only you can give yourself that peace. And I think that's one of the hardest things that I have had to learn is that codependence of having someone there to do things with physically, like go to the store, go to the movies, hang out, come over, go for a drive, do mundane tasks, simple tasks, go to the doctors with me, things like that, to then having to be on my own and be like, okay, I don't have this physical person. I'm struggling really bad with the loneliness of that. And I'm struggling really bad with the loneliness of filling this 80% of time that I just can't fill with all my friends because they're busy and they have their own things, And at the same time, giving myself that validation and approval throughout that 80% where I'm lonely. You have to learn how to give yourself that approval and that validation that you maybe were getting from the relationship where you felt a little codependent in. You have to learn how to be your biggest supporter and give yourself the most love. Everybody deserves love, I think, and everybody deserves grace. And I think we never give it to ourselves. We always give it away. Stop it. You owe it to yourself. You don't owe anybody anything, but what you owe is what you owe. If you if you owe anybody anything, it's yourself. You owe yourself the validation. You owe yourself the love. You owe yourself the approval, and you owe yourself your time. You should be your best friend. You should be your biggest supporter. And so with all of that means showing up for yourself in ways that maybe other people, maybe you've leaned on other people for so long to show up for you, but they can't show up for you forever. And they can't show up for you in every situation. You're gonna have to do it on your own. And it sucks and it's scary and it's a hard thing to move through, but it's so important to be uncomfortable to get comfortable. And I really encourage all of you who are watching to try something new today or try something you've been hesitant to do and just go out there and go to the store, go to the movies, I don't even know, go get a smoothie by yourself. Do something today by yourself. As long as it's safe. Like, don't go anywhere dangerous or do anything dangerous, of course. But it's all about getting excited for tomorrow. My ex said that to me. He said, we had a conversation and he said, for the first time in a long time, I'm really excited for tomorrow. like since separating. And it wasn't a negative conversation, and it wasn't a negative thing to say. It actually inspired me because I said, you know, where right now I don't feel excited for tomorrow. I feel really lonely. But hearing him say, you know, for the first time in a long time, I'm really excited for tomorrow because he's doing his own work by himself. And I said, you know what? I want to feel excited for tomorrow too. So I'm going to do my own work, and I'm going to be excited for tomorrow, and I'm going to set little things for myself by myself to get excited for tomorrow. Because we should be. We should all be excited for tomorrow. If you're not excited for tomorrow, look around and see what has to change. Because you got to show up for yourself in a different way then. Because you could have nothing. You could have nobody in your life. And you would still have to find a way to be excited for tomorrow. It's the most important thing in the world. I hope all of this makes sense. And I hope I reiterate this in every single video. I feel like I am not the most well-spoken. I feel like I talk like I sound like a child when I'm explaining all this to you because I don't sound professional. But and I hear the way my friends give me advice, and I'm like, wow, they're so well-spoken. And they say things in ways that I can't. I'm like, their lexicon is ridiculous. But I do hope that the way I'm saying it hits you in a way of just a friend trying to give you advice and walk you through it. And I hope that through this, we find community with each other in the comments and just amongst people who feel similar and are moving through similar things. Because I think through moving through codependency, it's also important to have, or at least see, or feel a sense of community in some way while also doing things on your own. You know what I mean? So doing this and posting these videos has been very healthy for me because I feel like even if people aren't interacting or talking or responding or anything like that, it just feels good to be putting something out there that I think adds to the healing of the world and adds to my own healing. And I just hope that everybody could see where I'm coming from with this. So I hope all of that makes sense. And again, I don't know why I'm like insecure about posting this, but whatever. So yeah, I hope you show up for yourself today because you have to. Goodbye.